Hello everyone. For this video, I'll start to relay my learnings to you on on the next topic of the ways of processing. Okay, let's begin first with formally defining the ways of processing. It's sometimes called over processing, and really this occurs when something's designed in such a way that uses more resources, such as, for example, space, energy, or people than is truly required. It's sort of like using a sledgehammer, to smash a peanut. And apparently, the waste of processing is the hardest to understand and learn to see, since most common root causes are apparently a lack of understanding of customer needs. All right. A few examples of overprocessing waste are machines that are slower or faster than needed. And then we have also equipment that uses more energy than needed. We can also consider drilling a hole when simply punching it, which would be much faster, would suffice. And then we also have completing redundant work, such as copying information, um, doing things just because they've always been done, and also cleaning things multiple times. Now, what does it cost us? What does this waste cost us? The cost of over processing waste, it can be measured by really observing the direct running costs. For example, labor, energy, space, materials, and equipment used to perform the unnecessary process. And basically, the cost of processing boils down to the simple fact that our people and machines are not adding value as efficiently as they can. All right. And so by eliminating all forms of processing, things like productivity will most definitely increase. So what causes over or the waste of processing? Well, for one, we have unclear customer requirements. Apparently, we don't truly understand what our customers want from us. And as a result, we find ourselves doing things for the product our customer doesn't really care about. And then we have overly complex designs. And they often lead to the waste of processing, since again, products may be far more complex than our customers care about, which means we'll be wasting a tremendous amount of time on things we're not getting paid for. Okay. And lastly, we have lack of communication, both internally and externally. And this often leads to the waste of processing, since expectations as far as what is required and what isn't required often go unknown to the people producing the product or service. So that said, what do we do now? What tools can we use to battle processing waste? The first thing that we can do is to simply stop. So in other words, once we recognize the waste of processing, um, we should stop doing it. And while this might not sound like earth-shattering advice, no, this one technique could literally save you and your company a lot of time and money. And what else? We have completing a workflow analysis or detailed process map in order to to identify and remove unneeded steps. And this part here is another powerful technique, and it's used by many companies to eliminate the processing waste. And this analysis doesn't have to be done with fancy electronic software. No, all you need is a piece of paper, a pencil, and someone familiar with with the process in question. And then what else do we have? Understanding what our customers want and expect from us is extremely important. So that includes finding a way to capture the voice of the customer. So there are a variety of ways to go about this. Some companies use surveys, while others who have a good working relationship with their clients simply ask them what they truly value and expect from their product or service. And lastly, there are some more advanced lean tools and concepts such as 3P, or the product preparation process, and value engineering that can also be used to battle this waste. And for now, we'll not cover those concepts just yet in this video. So we go over to the next waste. I'm going to relay the learnings I have on transportation waste. Theoretically defined, um, this waste of transportation is the movement of materials that adds no value to the product. And another way of saying it is transportation is the movement of material using carts, trucks, forklifts, or simply your arms and legs. Well, really, while moving a product on a conveyor is not as bad as moving material from one disconnected process to another, it's still conveyance, a type of a transportation waste, since conveyors are inflexible, they require space and energy. Then we have some examples of transportation waste. Um, for one, we have moving finished goods to storage. We also have moving work in process to the next step. We have moving between functional areas, moving parts to the line, and then moving items to quality assurance. Then what about the causes? What causes transportation? The first thing that many companies apparently battle in terms of transportation waste are outdated plant layouts that are not optimized to minimize transportation. And another cause is the fact that many so-called mass producers still produce large batch sizes, those that require forklifts to move it about the plant. And then next, we have the huge warehouses with massive racks of inventory as far as the eye can see. And these are some of the major causes of this transportation waste. And of course, in some industries, it's difficult to not hold inventory in large racks. But our goal from lean producer perspective must be to hold as little inventory as possible. No? And then lastly, we have the need to transfer material from one work area to the next, and in some cases, stage this material. And this also contributes to the waste of transportation. And what does it cost us really? We go over to the next section, costs of transportation. Now, this waste of transportation often increases the lead time our processes due to transportation delays. And there's also labor and equipment costs for moving material. And then there are also people needed to create things like transfer orders. And then there's the cost of forklifts and pallet jacks and pallets. And of course, the fuel needed to operate the forklifts. So it's safe to say that the cost of transportation to most organizations is really probably extremely high. Now, knowing that, what tools can we use to battle transportation waste? Well, the first thing that we can do is rearrange our factories and even our office areas in a cellular layout, whereby material flows smooth, in a smooth and consistent manner/fashion. And taking this material flow even further, it would be optimal if we operated within our work areas using the one-piece flow concept. And then another technique that we can use to minimize transportation is to have clear material replenishment routines outlined. And while there is still the waste of transportation in these systems, the waste is greatly minimized by the standard way of picking jobs and the excellent visual management that accompanies these systems. And then we have the water spider system, which will not focus in detail for this video. And then lastly is the point of use storage and the direct line delivery. And meaning all supplies needed to do your job are always available, and the person doing the work never has to leave to get his or her own supplies. And then we go over to the next type of waste, which is the waste of waiting. Okay, and for an overview, waiting describes situations when there is idle time created, no? Because materials, machines, inspection, or information aren't ready for people. And this waste normally is less visible than the others because it's often replaced by overproduction or busy work. So when waiting becomes visible, it's really important to keep people from um, producing unneeded product just to keep busy, since this busy work apparently often does more harm than good. Then there are many examples of waiting that we can think of, such as when people aren't able to do their job because they're waiting for the materials to arrive, or perhaps they're waiting for an inspector to come to verify the work was done right the first time. What else? Another example of waiting occurs when we're forced to wait for machines or equipment to become available, either because of poor planning or unplanned downtime. And then next, oftentimes, at least in the factory environments, people are not able to do their job because they're waiting for things like a forklift to arrive. Then lastly, many times we're found waiting for information to arrive. And until it does arrive, there's not much that we can do really. So knowing that, what does it cost us when we have this waste? This waste of waiting often directly relates to lost capacity. And then we have also lost operating costs, overtime costs, since even though our people are forced to wait from time to time, there's still a mad dash at the end of the period now to get the work out of the door, and which often means mandatory overtime. And then we can also consider that waiting also decreases our ability to be flexible to changing customer needs. And finally, waiting can also create overproduction, which may not make much sense, no, but if say a person has no work to do and they may feel inclined to keep on producing product or goods that no customer is willing to buy, and this in turn creates the waste of overproduction. So knowing those important areas, what tools can we use to battle waiting? Well, the first thing that we can do is workload balancing. As a short summary, in order to ensure work is balanced in such a way as to ensure that no operator is ever left waiting for work, we need to balance each process cycle time with takt time. Okay. And then next we have, once again, one piece flow, or make one, move one. And this is an excellent production technique, apparently. And it involves many things, and including having to wait for work, since all the work is balanced and work flows smoothly and consistently throughout the process. And then we have strong standard work documents and visual management practices. This can also reduce waiting, as all employees know what to do, and they also know where to go to help others when they might have little work to do themselves. And then lastly, we have the lean concept of Heijanka, or production leveling. And this one is extremely important as it relates to waiting, since without some form of production leveling, wild customer demand swings often create occasions where there's little to no work, and thus waiting, as well as times when there is more work than can be handled. So by smoothing production, we're able to consistently plan and schedule resources in such a way as to never wait or overburden our workforce. All right, time check. And there you have it. Darling friends, we'll stop here for now and see you in my next video. And if you enjoyed this one, or you'd like to see similar videos in the future, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel down below, and hit the notification bell as well, so that you don't miss out on more learning videos. And by the way, credits to the artist for the music in this video. Thank you so much, and bye for now.